Okay, let's talk about something real. What if there was a way to grow your business without working yourself into the ground? Sounds kind of like a fantasy, right? Well, today we're going to dive into a framework that claims to do exactly that. It's all about finding a new edge for leaders, especially now, when that old playbook of more hours equals more results just isn't cutting it anymore.
I mean, look at that. Earn more, work less. That is a huge promise. It's basically the holy grail for every single leader out there, but for most of us it feels completely impossible. The thing is, the system we're exploring today argues that this isn't just some nice-to-have goal. It's actually a critical strategy for, survival and growth.
And that really hits home, doesn't it? I mean, your day is already jam-packed. You're juggling a million things at once. So how on earth are you supposed to add anything else? Well, the big idea here is, what if you don't have to? What if the answer isn't about piling on more work, but about completely rethinking how you work, so you can unlock the power that's already there, just waiting inside your business? All right, so here's the game plan for today. We're going to start by naming that feeling of being stuck. We'll call it the leadership capacity trap. Then we'll get into the secret weapon to break free, this whole idea called the power of 15-1. After that, we'll break down its 3 core pillars, look at how you actually put it into practice, and finally, we'll talk about what it really means to unlock your leadership edge. So let's kick things off with a feeling I'm pretty sure you know all too well. It's that moment, that really frustrating moment, where you hit a wall. You realize that every single extra hour you pour in is giving you less and less in return. That feeling? That's the leadership capacity trap. So, what's our first instinct when we get stuck in this trap? We just add more stuff, right? We get another piece of software, we add another daily meeting, we throw another item on the to-do list. But all that really does is create more noise, more complexity. It's not actually moving the needle. See, the real problem isn't that you're missing a tool. The problem is that your people, your processes, and your tools, they aren't working together the way they should be. So if just adding more stuff isn't the answer, then what is? How do you actually escape the trap? Well, it takes a complete mental reboot. And listen, we are not talking about some new productivity hack here. This is much bigger. We're talking about a whole new philosophy for how you lead and for how your entire business operates. And that new philosophy, it's called the power of 151. And it's built on this really simple but incredibly powerful idea. When you perfectly align your people, your processes, and you bring in AI, you don't just get an additive result. It's not 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. No. You get a multiplicative one. It's 1 + 1 + 1 = 5, or maybe even more. That's the synergy we're talking about. That's where the real breakthrough happens. And when you achieve that synergy, that's how you find your edge. And what is the edge? Oh, it's that amazing feeling when the constant firefighting just stops. The chaos finally dies down, and all of a sudden, you have the clarity to see what really matters. You have the capacity to actually do something about it, and you have the control to steer your business on purpose, instead of just reacting to whatever comes your way. Okay, so having a powerful philosophy is a great starting point, but how do you actually build the synergy we're talking about? Well, it all rests on 3 core pillars. And it's super important to remember, these aren't separate things, they're all connected. They're the foundations for this smarter way of working. Okay, so pillar number 1 is all about your people. I mean, let's be real for a second. Your team's creativity, their ability to solve problems, that is your single greatest asset. But think about it. How much of that brilliance is just buried under a mountain of boring, repetitive tasks? The whole goal here is to use smart systems to clear away all that grunt work and just unleash your team to focus on the big, important challenges that are actually going to move the business forward. Next up, pillar 2, smarter processes. Here's a good way to think about it. Your processes are like the tracks that your business runs on. And if those tracks are broken or all misaligned, well, you're not going anywhere fast. You're just spinning your wheels and burning fuel. But when those tracks are streamlined and they're clear, all that friction just disappears. And you create this smooth, efficient path forward where every single action actually has a clear purpose. And now for the 3rd pillar. And this is the one that really multiplies the power of the other 2. Intelligent AI agents. And look, forget all the hype, forget all the crazy jargon for a minute. Just think of these as your dedicated digital allies. They're working for you 24/7 in the background, handling all those routine tasks that bog your people down, and they're streamlining the very processes you've just designed. They're basically the engine that gives you the leverage you need to scale smarter. So let's drill down on this idea of AI agents for a second. Here's the most important thing you need to get. They are force multipliers for you as a leader. It's that simple. Their whole job is to take your effort and just amplify it. They free you from what I call the tyranny of the urgent, all those day-to-day tasks, so you can finally focus on the really important work, which is driving the vision. Okay, so we've got the mindset, right? The power of 151. We've got the 3 pillars: people, process, and AI. But the million-dollar question is still on the table. How do you actually do any of this? Well, this isn't just some nice theory. It's a real, actionable playbook. Let's walk through the steps. Okay, this is called the Workflow Edge Framework. It's a 5-step process. First step, step 1, is understand. You really can't fix what you can't see, so the first thing you do is map out how work is actually flowing through your business. Then, step 2, identify. Once you have that map, you can pinpoint the exact places where there's friction, the bottlenecks that are slowing everything down. Next, step 3 is align. This is where you redesign your processes and get your team totally in sync. Now, step 4 is integrate AI. And notice, only then, after you've done the other work, do you strategically bring in AI agents to automate things where they'll have the biggest impact. And finally, step 5, evolve. Because this isn't a one-and-done fix. It's about creating a system where you are always purposefully getting better. And now for the payoff. This is the transformation in practice, because when you actually go through this framework, what you get on the other side, it's a genuine transformation. We're not just talking about a more efficient business here. We're talking about completely changing your own experience as a leader. This is where it all clicks. So, what does this framework actually help you do? Let's talk results. First, you start to automate intelligently, not just blindly adding tech for tech's sake. That lets you act faster, but with way less personal effort. And that is what frees you up to finally, stop being the chief doer of tasks and become the chief driver of the vision. You end up moving from a business that's totally dependent on you to one that's future-proof. You build a business that can really, truly thrive on its own. When you get right down to it, it all boils down to this one simple but really powerful idea. Unlock time, unleash potential. When you unlock your time, which is your most precious, most finite resource, you unleash potential. Not just your team's potential or your business's potential, but just as importantly, your own potential as a leader. So I just want to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. We all know our time is finite, right? There are only so many hours in a day. That's a given. But if you can build a business that runs on this kind of synergy with empowered people, smart processes, and intelligent AI, then you really have to ask yourself a new question. Is your potential finite too?